So the big question is, can a comedian be a literary hero? Now, this has been talked about throughout Canada, States, for a number of years. You look at the Will Rogers era, you look at the great social comedians through the years, Lenny Bruce, the various black and Aboriginal, Hispanic comedians through the years. You go on stage, you present a stand up or like your character to reflect your region or your region's personality. Now, in 2011, we're going a little bit back in the archives because it was a very interesting article that Tony Trombley put together for St. Thomas University as per a tribute to probably one of the most important comedians in Atlantic Canadian history. I'm glad to say I graduated from DRHS in '82. He graduated a few years before, but as he likes to say, and I like to say, there is no shore like the North Shore. That's for sure. So today we're paying tribute to a friend of everybody in the North Shore, Marshall Button, better known as the comedian Lucien. Now, Marshall Button is an actor, comedian, playwright, and artistic director, mostly in Moncton. Was born in 1958 in the bilingual mill town of Dalhousie. He was an artist in resident at Theatre Capital Theatre in Moncton, and he's the author performer of 12 professionally produced plays at that time. The best known of which are the Lucien series, which has been staged hundreds of times for audiences in Canada, the US, and overseas. Now, Lucien is a mill worker. Hey, la, you there? Why are you working so hard, brother? Take a break. That was based on the various mill workers who had fractured Shiak English, who would basically tell these co-workers the details of topics. Hey, I was watching. They will do two Connors, the one that broke his jaw, and the one that didn't win the cup. That's how Lucien talks. Now, he was the son of a Francophone mother and Anglophone father. And again, he graduated from the RHS in that very, very talented class of 1976 at the Complex. Now, like many of his peers, he worked in a local NBIP paper mill to put himself through university. My dad worked as a lumberjack for Woodlands, and he basically said literally there was hundreds of students, university students from the Dalhousie region that passed through. His summers of employment there, however, did not precipitate his leaving or affirm his desire for another class or place, but cemented his loyalties to the people of his town. Rather than see illiteracy and defeat in the men he worked with, he saw wisdom and resilience, the strengths of a people historically marginalized by religion, language, politics, and locale. Now, shortly receiving his BA in drama at Bishops, he captured those strengths in the comic character Lucien, his most enduring creation. Conceived, and I saw this in person, as a 2-minute monologue in February '84 to celebrate New Brunswick's bicentennial. The first full show showed Lucien. The character and show share the same name, premiered at Stew in March '86. But there was the Lucien character had been around for a number of years in various forms. Now, in the last 2 decades, we're talking the '90s and the 2000s, he's been better known than any of her other literary character in the province. Declared a national treasure by Peter Zowski, although a lot of people want to bury him literally. Lucien, New Brunswick blue-collar philosopher, has been appreciatively received by audiences across the country. As a mid-career, suitably disgruntled low-skilled mill worker, Lucien is the working-class New Brunswicker and Canadian everyman. A speaker of two languages, he's proficient in neither. Rather, his tongue is an amalgam of wit and slang, frustration and hope. English and French, what he terms Fringlish, Franglais, or say friendly English. I give you an example there when Kim Campbell was running for Prime Minister. He got in big trouble because he called her Skin Campbell. He mispronounced the first name. He is highly paid and ponderously slow, guardian of the shop floor virtues of safety, rest and moderation, take a break, all of which must be mastered if one is to endure years of button pushing, level checking, spirit deflating shift work. He is both the boon and victim of trade unionism, pampered, underutilized, and unfulfilled, as he is left alone for long periods with his imaginary assistant to ruminate on things metaphysical. Basically, what's ever in the lunch can could be the topic of the day. While automation has freedom from physical toil, it has not released him from his hard work of self-knowledge, which he pursues an undirected talk. It is that talk which audiences overhear in Marshall Button shows. Now, when he did CBC radio and he staged shows, he would ponder on the issues of the day, be it federal, provincial, whatever. Now, most important for New Brunswickers, however, is a unique place, a social gospel. Lucien bridges again those two linguistic communities, two cultural divides, loyalist Protestant and Acadian Catholic, and two historical distinct socio-economic realities in the province. The administrative economics of the urban south and the resource-based economies of the rural north. His precarious position atop these social and economic fault lines embodies the political history of our province, its unequal wealth distribution, and he always reeled, though rarely discussed, inequities around language, region, religion, and class, or I used to call it regional racism. Lucien integrates those inequities, offering audiences a glimpse into the real meaning of robbing Peter to play Paul. The rankest slogan popularized in the 60s by the Irving Press to debase Acadian Premier Louis Robichaud's equal opportunity reforms. Now, in classic, what they call rebel fashion, subverting social hierarchy and bastardizing the King's English, Button uses the humor as an index of grievance in much the same way as Antoine Maillet does in her works, including La Sagouine. Just as La Sagouine uses humor to sustain herself while elbow deep in the dirty water of the rich, so does Lucien sustain himself with wit as he does penance on the paper machines. In the end, both are threatened by their capacity to laugh at what they cannot easily change, and in so doing, both are unique in displaying the quality of resilience characteristics of many rural Catholic working class New Brunswickers. Though they may not be without urban sophistications, these New Brunswickers are not without the wisdom to see clearly through the double talk of their leaders or the wit to bring them to their knees. Now whereas Maillet gives a voice to Acadian New Brunswick experience, Lucien gives a voice to the populations that are neither Scots, Irish, Loyalists, Braillot, nor Acadian, but a mix of those by varying degree, including what I call Acadian Métis. His people count among their ancestors French-speaking Acadian grandparents who married non-French-speaking Irish grandmothers, and whose children are bilingual by accident or birth, not by legislative decree, and as well white Anglophones who married Aboriginal women. No one but Marshal Button through Lucien has ever spoken for these people in their tongue, and as that tongue is the endurance of a whole population. Now, staged countless times for audiences across North America, and in 2006 for troops in Afghanistan, Lucien remains an ambassador who is recognized outside the province as a humane champion of the men and women in this country. Now, his pan-Canadian success is evidenced not only consistently sold out shows across Canada, including Gander, BTB, Témiscamingue, Timmins, and other working-class hinterlands of Canada, but also in a number of guest appearances he's made on national radio and TV shows, and he has been a favorite on Sounds Like Canada, Sunday Morning, Morningside, and Royal Canadian Air Force, and of all things, Sportsnet. The Lucien series, again, is now in its fourth installment, at the time, of course. Helter Smelter was the dish show. Lucien has not only 1 more month to work before retirement, a retirement that we now know would have been considerably impoverished by the fact in January 2008, the Abitibi pulp mill in which he worked for his entire career shut down permanently, decimating the northern New Brunswick economy. Helter Smelter follows Lucien's labor of love in 2 acts, Lucien's Labor's Lost and Lucien's Snowbird. In addition to authoring the Lucien series, he's also the author and director of Dieppe Dieppe, a bilingual musical that commemorated the 60th anniversary of the Dieppe raid and toured France in 2004. Again, formerly artistic director of the Capitol Theatre, the artistic director of the Upper Canada Playhouse, and founder and artistic director of the Comedy Asylum in Frankton. He was the founder of Montreal's Hubcap Festival Comedy Festival, director of the annual New Brunswick Review, a satirical look at the province, and founder of the Capitol School of Performing Arts, a year-round bilingual theatre program for adults and youth. In 2008, Stu recognized Button's theatrical artistic achievements with an honorary degree. 6 months later, he was invested in the Order of New Brunswick. Now, again, Lucien is a first cousin to Trailer Park Boys. He's a first cousin to a lot of the regional dictates we have. But where Codco was more of a sketch comedy, this is a one-man show. He was taking on all the characteristics. He would adapt to the news of the day, and Lucien would talk. I'll give an example. If you're dealing in 2024, what would Lucien say about Blaine Higgs? Yeah, listen there, that failed liberal there from the city that has no force anymore because of the clear cut. He don't know much. He was with the Irvings for years. Tried to start the core party. They kicked him out. He tried to get Hatfield out of there. He left it. He thought he was going to start a new party, and they still didn't want him. Maybe you should go back to the Liberals. He's that good at not doing anything like most people think the Liberals do. Take a break. So it's not hard to copy Lucien, but Marshall Button cannot be copied. He's a unique individual. In the history of Northern New Brunswick, I'm going to be very honest with you. You look at the talented people who came from DRHS. Okay, you got me. I've been a journalist 41 years. Bev Vincent, Curtis Sullivan, the late great Candy Palmer, Marshall Button. Just the 5 or 6 of us alone, just the quality of performance, whatever arts is, that's pretty amazing. How many people say that, hey, there's a guy from DRHS who's co-editor with Stephen King. There's a guy with DRHS who's won every award for a sports editor across Canada. It's a guy from DHS who's probably the best hometown opera singer ever. Curtis is just tremendous. And Candy, God bless her, she's an Aboriginal trailblazer, and dearly, dearly missed. You put us all together in a room and you're saying we all come from DHS. There's something in the water in the North Shore, whether you're born at St. Joseph or you're from dere or whatever. There's something in us. In the words of Lucien, hey, we're not too bad. You're a bunch of people. We want the respect we don't get. Every time I hear someone take a break, Lucien should have done Kit Kat. You know what I mean? Take a break. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's some of the history of Lucien. If you like Marshall, let us know with a like, comment, subscribe, or share. There's no podcast can do enough dedication to Marshall's talent. Call in the bin, as we like to say. I like to see him do a play just on Lucien the bingo caller. That'd be pretty good, or a skit. It's funny there was no big screen movie. I would have loved to watch that. That was tremendous. The soundtrack alone would sell millions. So, ladies and gentlemen, have a nice night. And don't forget, Argentina, Canada tonight if you're watching. Bye.